Hello sweet friends, welcome back to another video. My name is Casey. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some books on my summer TBR, and I find this crazy because I feel like it was just 2 or 3 videos ago that I uploaded my spring TBR. I feel like where I live, March is such a dreary month. There's still oftentimes a lot of snow and things like that, so I feel like spring doesn't really kick in until April. And now it's like the first week of June, so it's like spring just flew by. But I have some books that I'm really excited for. So I'm really excited to share with you some of the books I hope to read this summer. I actually still have one more book on my spring TBR, which is Spring by Ali Smith. And I know that it's June, so I should have already read it, but I feel like it'll be nice to kind of reflect upon the season maybe. But anyway, these are the books that I hope to read this summer. The first book that I have is Summer by Edith Wharton. I am really excited about this book. I wanted to get it last year just because it was called Summer, and I'm a very seasonal kind of mood reader. But I didn't get it, but I did pick it up this year, and when I was kind of reading the plot before I ordered the book, because I am a little crazy, but not that crazy to just buy a book based on the title. But it sounds so good, and it absolutely just sounds like a book that I will absolutely love. So this follows Charity, who is from a really small town. She kind of has really humble, I guess like a humble kind of life, and a humble childhood, a humble upbringing. And she meets, I think his name is Lucius, and he is like this city boy. He's very educated and refined. I think he's from New York, and I believe that they kind of enter into a love affair, and it's like this torrid romance that they experience. And I think it just becomes this big awakening for Charity and just a really big coming of age for her, which is one of my favorite things to read about. But yeah, I'm really excited. I've never read any Edith Wharton, so this will be my first, and I really want to read The Age of Innocence next. So let me know if you recommend that or kind of where I should go on my Edith Wharton journey based on how I feel about this one. But yeah, I'm really excited about this one. I don't know. It looks short, but is this one of those books that are kind of deceiving? Like you think it's going to be a quick read and it's not, you know what I mean? So we'll see, but I definitely will be reading this one really soon. Speaking of summer, the next book that I have is Summer by Ali Smith. So this is a seasonal quartet written by Ali Smith. It starts in autumn, but I feel like they're very just, they can read as standalones. They don't follow a set of characters. So really you could just pick them up at any time. Obviously, I think you should pick them up in the appropriate season though. But this one wrestles with the question of family, and all of these take place during, in England, right after the Brexit. So this is about Sasha. It says she knows the world in trouble. Her brother Robert is in trouble. Their mother and father are having trouble, and the world is in meltdown. And then I think it is reflections on past summers when things seem different. It says a different brother and sister know that they're living on borrowed time. This is a story about people on the brink of change. They're a family, but they think they're strangers. So where does family begin? And what do people who think they've got nothing in common have in common? And it's summer. So I'm really excited. I loved autumn and winter. I'm going to read spring next, like I mentioned. So it'll be really nice to kind of wrap up the seasonal quartet and just kind of read these like stream of consciousness from these characters, and just I don't know, I think that they're just really beautiful portrayals of inner thoughts and inner monologues as to what people go to. I noticed with autumn and winter as well, it kind of helped me as someone who can consume so much news and become really anxious about the state of the world. But these books have kind of given me a little bit of hope that in those really crazy times that there is still hope and people are still good, and that despite there being really bad times in history or really bad times in our lives, that we can persevere and that good things can still come after or in spite of those bad things. So excited for this one as well. I feel like this will be a late summer read though, because I don't want to go into it right after finishing spring. I normally just keep my TBRs to about 5 books because I do like to mood read, and then if new releases come or, you know, yada yada, I don't feel it's confined to my TBR, so I like to keep them quite short. But I did pick up this book and I wanted to add it into my TBR because I just really want to watch the film. and it is Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. I've just heard so many amazing things about this, and I'm really excited. I watched the trailer a couple weeks ago when it came out, and I love Sally Field. Steel Magnolias is one of my favorite films of all time, so I just adore Sally Field, and she was in, I think it was Gidget. It's like a really old, like I think it was a TV series, and I loved that. I watched it on YouTube when I was in high school. But yeah, I love Sally Field, and then a Noah Kahan song was playing, and I was like, just tears. So I'm really excited, but I know that this is about a elderly woman. It says that after her husband passed away, she started working at an aquarium. Being busy always helped her cope, which is what she had been doing since her 18-year-old son mysteriously vanished on a boat over 30 years ago. And then she becomes friends with a octopus that lives in the aquarium. And he also forms a relationship with her. So I'm really, really excited for this one. And I think, am I wrong? Based upon the trailer and what I've heard, I might be wrong, but I think that the octopus is who narrates the story. But yeah, so excited for this one. I just feel like I need hopeful books right now, and I really can't wait for this one. I feel like I'll pick this one up really, really soon as well. I just have to read it before the film, you know? Does that make sense? If you've seen the film and read the book, let me know like how they compare. Might help me kind of manage my expectations. Next, I have 2 rereads. I always like to throw a reread in my TBRs just because I love to revisit books. I love books. I've owned a lot of books, so it makes sense to not just put them on the shelf and never pick them up again. So every year I love to reread a Jane Austen. Last summer I read, or like last spring I guess, I read Sense and Sensibility. And this summer I want to read Persuasion. This is my favorite Jane Austen, or it was. I don't know. I feel like I've really grown to love Emma as well. But I think that's just because of the 2020 film. And I just love Johnny Flynn as Mr. Knightley. And that's like influenced my opinion of Emma a little bit more favorably. But this is Persuasion by Jane Austen. We have an older heroine in this one, and it is Anne Elliot. So when she was younger, she fell in love with Captain Wentworth, and her family deemed him as not good enough for her. He wasn't wealthy enough, he didn't have enough status, and wanting to kind of please her family, she broke off that engagement, even though she loved him. But it was like wrestling between, you know, her family and herself. I do think that Anne is the eldest daughter as well, so I get that. And basically it's 8 years later. Anne is still unmarried. She feels very much like she is a spinster, and she is in Bath visiting, and Captain Wentworth is too, except now he has risen and is wealthy, and he has a lot of status, and he is a very eligible suitor. So Anne wants to be with him because she's never stopped loving him, but she's convinced that he has stopped loving her, and that due to her, you know, essentially not choosing him before, like, why would he pick her now? Like, he's better off now, yada yada. It is just so good. And I will also say that Captain Wentworth's letter far exceeds Mr. Darcy's. Like, it is just full of pining and love. I absolutely love it. I cannot recommend this enough. And I can't wait to reread it. And I love, love, love this painted edition because it paints the scene of Bath where they are. And I do believe that this is Captain Wentworth's boat. It says on the back, the little quote, "When pain is over, the remembrance of it often becomes a pleasure." So I'm so excited for this. I haven't read this book in years. I also have another reread that I want to read. So I read this going into my senior year of high school. I took a class my senior year, and we had books and things that we were supposed to read that summer and do activities with, yada yada. So that was when I first read this book, and for years I read it every single summer after. And then I think in like, I don't know, probably like 2020, I just didn't. Maybe that was the last summer I read it. I think the summer of COVID. And then I just never picked it up again, which I hate. And every summer I'm like, I need to pick it up and reread it. I need to pick it up and reread it, and I just haven't. So this summer I'm definitely going to prioritize it. And it is The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I love this book. It's really short. A lot of times I would just take a day and just read the whole book in a day. I think most of us know the story of The Great Gatsby, but it follows Jay Gatsby in his pursuit of Daisy, which is a young woman who he fell in love with when he was younger. And he's throwing these big, elaborate parties at his home. He lives like across the bay from her to try to capture her attention and win her over again. She is married and she has a child, but Gatsby doesn't care. And all of this is told through Nick Carraway, who's a very unreliable narrator. This is also one of those books that is packed full of symbolism, and I love when authors do that and how you can kind of decode what this means. It just tickles my brain so well. But this is one of my favorite books of all time, and like I said, I've not read it in years. This is another painted edition as well, and I love this one so much because this is Gatsby's mansion. It has Gatsby standing here at the end of the bay, and he's looking across to Daisy in her little home, and then you can see the symbolic green light coming through. The quote on the back of this one says, "Let us learn to show our friendship for a man when he is alive and not after he is dead." But I absolutely love this, and I can't wait to dive into it. I don't know that I'll make the effort to sit down and read it all in one sitting in a day, but definitely like over a weekend or something. And I can't wait. Reading this book to me just feels like the start of summer. So I'm really excited. And last but not least, I have a book that I almost didn't put on here because I am reading The Count of Monte Cristo, which I wanted to read this winter, and yet we are going into summer, and I'm not even 50% in yet. But that's okay. I am enjoying it very much. It's just a little bit slower to kind of work through than I thought it would be. So I don't know if I will get to this book this summer. If I do, it'll be very late summer, and maybe more likely fall, because I don't want to go off a really, really, really big book and then into another really, really big book. But I saw a creator go on and on and on about how great this book was, and I've heard other people talk about how good it is, and it's a book that I normally would not pick up on my own, but I'm really excited for it, and it is Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. That's how you would say that. So I know that this is set in Texas in the town of Lonesome Dove. It says you meet an unforgettable assortment of heroes and outlaws, not so nice word for women, and ladies, also a not so nice word for Native Americans and settlers. It's richly authentic, beautifully written, and always dramatic. Lonesome Dove is a book to make us laugh, weep, dream, and remember. So I'm just really excited. I think sometimes when you pick up books that you normally wouldn't expect to love, like for example, quite a few years ago, I read the Jurassic Park books and loved those books, loved them, 5-star reads. I think about them to this day. They were so exciting, so thrilling, and I would have never ever picked those up. But someone recommended them to me and let me borrow them. I was like, I'll give it a try to talk to you about them, and I ended up loving them. So I am excited for this one because I feel like it'll have a similar thing. But as you can see, it's quite thick and the font isn't massive. This book is 800 in some pages, it looks like. So yeah, definitely not the book that I want to go into right after finishing a thicker book. Yeah, 858. So, but really, really excited for this one. I know that this is such an American classic, and I love reading classics through the summer too. I think, again, it comes from studying them in school, and then when I was in college and when I was in the classroom and stuff, summer was the time that I had the freedom to dedicate toward thicker classics, and I didn't have that time or energy through the rest of the year. But yeah, very excited. And I shared a little book haul on TikTok, and a couple people commented and told me that this was one of their favorite books of all time. So I really, really can't wait. Yeah, friends, that sums up my TBR. Let me know what books you plan on reading this summer, or if you have any recommendations for me, or what you thought of any of these books. Clemmy's starting to bark. She wants to play. And I will see you guys very soon in another video. Bye.